that Don Jr. is buying it?
No, we probably shouldn't tell him that.
All right. Bam, we're live. Good to see you guys. How'd you know spicy margaritas? I actually wasn't doing spicy margaritas. I was actually at Chelsea's Kitchen in Scottsdale. I did a what did I have? Vodka and cucumber and grapefruit juice, I think.
Sounds refreshing.
It was good. And I actually wasn't going to drink. I haven't been drinking much lately, but I tasted someone next to me. I tasted their drink and yum.
Oh, I was going to say you're celebrating that you just bought CrossFit?
Yeah. Celebrating the Don Jr. just bought CrossFit. I can't fucking believe that was going to happen. Okay. Let me ask you this. Were we right that CrossFit was going to sell, or is it like, hey, a broken clock is right twice a day? Like we're sitting over here rattling it's going to sell, it's going to sell, it's going to sell. And then eventually it sold, and like any jackass could have done that.
Yes, because we all knew it was going to sell inevitably, but also no, because the timing was pretty on point.
You think we were close enough?
I think so.
So we would hear rumors of it selling. We would get multiple sources that there was talk of it selling. We would find about things happening at HQ, things that were happening with people in the outside world. We would see people circling around and so.
Honestly, no. I'm surprised that we heard anything other than it's sold. Typically in this type of
I mean us in general.
Oh, the chatter in our world.
The basis of our rumors.
Yes.
You think there was some validity to it. You don't think that we just got lucky? Like any idiot could have just been like I could be like, hey, there's going to be a new president soon. There's going to be a new president soon. And then eventually in 4 years, we'd have a new president.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a little bit of that because we knew the timing was there. But no, I think what you were saying before, just like the rumblings and like kind of watching the ecosystem, knowing the timing, hearing different things, you kind of put some things together. And, you know, the internet's crazy. You go to LinkedIn and one thing leads to another and you find shit out, right?
I'm going to tell you a little bit of the history of CrossFit the first time it sold. A gentleman reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, I got a buddy with who wants to offer 10 figures for CrossFit through Instagram. That seems like a weird place, right? And he goes, and I'm not joking. And I forwarded it over to Greg. I screenshot it, sent it over to Greg, and he's like, yeah, I heard from a guy too. Same from, someone referring to the same guy. Ends up being Eric Rosa. Him and Greg talk, and they quickly decide on a number. And Rosa basically says, hey, we're cool with this number, but you can't take any more bids while we fit in this next phase. Like you can't be like, hey, I'm going to give you $50 for it. Tell the world that. But there's something, and a lot of people know that story. But there was something else going down during Floyd 19 also. There were people who were trying to spin up false negative stories about CrossFit during that time and about Greg, and then also putting in bids. So like I would go to you and I would say, hey, Sousa, start these false stories about CrossFit. New York Times picks up the article, drives the price down, and thus hurting me. And then I tell you to go I find out CrossFit's for sale. I tell you to start some false stories with the New York Times, and then I make a low bid.
Yep.
Hey, I'll give you $25 for it. Yeah. There was a lot of crazy shit like that going on, that stories like that have not come out yet, but some very, very wild, not hearsay stories, very true stories. And some malicious shit. There were other people who were like, hey, if you can drive the price down for CrossFit with some malicious stories, I'll make you the CEO. Shit like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. All that shit happens all the time.
Okay. So you have that, and then you have the Eric Rosa offers the purchase price. Greg accepts, but he's not allowed to shop it around while after they do the handshake on the purchase price. You and I had heard, we had sources for a couple real serious, 2-3 serious bidders on CrossFit from some really great sources.
Yeah.
Then it started leaning towards one person was going to get it. We were hearing, okay, this one person is going to get it, but we were hearing different things from other sources. And so, but one of the sources was like, hey, this group is definitely getting CrossFit.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, and we'll read the letter that Don put out today. I think two things Don did today. He addressed the company about the sale, and he addressed the affiliates, right? And no, three things. And they addressed the public. It's also on CrossFit.com. So it was announced in at least 3 different places that we know.
Yeah.
But really interesting about that is that the way it almost feels like an auction now.
Yeah.
Like basically Don stood up and said, this horse is for sale. And that's causing me a lot of confusion. I can't tell if that's an act or a game. If there already is a seller and there's some legal reasons they have to take other bids, or
I don't think so. It's very odd.
Because I'm still getting sources saying that the person who's going to get it's going to get it. It's like it's at 80%.
Mhm.
But that person wouldn't allow Don to shop it around if they Don, when I say Don, sorry, Berkshire to shop it around if they already had a deal.
Yeah, it'd make no sense. I think that it's already done. I think this is the soft approach of letting people know.
Okay.
Hey, Sebon, we're gonna have to buy a new car soon. Like, oh, I kind of know. Okay, just let you know. Like, we're gonna have to get a car soon. I'm gonna put the for sale sign up on the car. Okay. Saturday, somebody shows up to buy the car. Wow, how convenient. Sebon, hey, we got to sell your old car, man. We got somebody. They came over to buy it. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. I got a little time to prepare for that. Okay. Even though the dude called me before I put the sign on the car and said, hey, I'm coming down Saturday to buy that car.
So you're leaning on the side that they know the buyers, and it's
I think the deal's done, and they're softening the impact it's going to take in the community.
Oh, okay. So they're trying to facilitate. Okay.
Yeah.
Soft launch, like that time Danielle Brandon took a picture of her holding hands with someone, or someone did, and it said soft launch.
There you go. That's
Do you
right.
think a couple of weeks ago, Don, I don't know who he was addressing, the affiliates or his team, but he kind of cracked the joke. Well, if it's for sale, I wish someone would tell me, or he said something like that, joking around. Did he know?
Of course. So listen, here's the way that I look at it, and it was funny because I was forming this in my mind.
By the way, this is all speculation, people. We don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was forming this in my mind in case Dave came on here and wanted to slap me around a little bit. Like, he's been into that lately. And I was gonna make the joke and be like, hey, dude, it's okay. You're just a mayor. Like, you're just a mayor now. And then if he kind of bit on it, he's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, you're a mayor. Don's a governor, right? Like, he's the governor. And then you got like Marnie, who's like the president. But then you got the deep state, the motherfuckers who are actually running the show. And
Marnie's the one who basically is in charge of the CrossFit account over at Berkshire at the private.
She's she's what's known as like the managing partner, right? So like, she's the person that is basically in between the private equity, or sent by the private equity, not sent, but whatever, they're by the private equity to manage that brand in their portfolio, to manage that company. And so that's her going back and forth. And so the way that I see it is that if there was stuff happening in the background, Marnie would be aware of it, right? And Berkshire would be making sure everything's happening on their end. And then as soon as there was something serious and Don needed to be fully brought in on it, because then it was going to involve him, then I think he would be brought in. I think he'd be pervy to it ahead of time. Like, hey, there's something going on. There are having some meetings. We might be looking to sell. And then by the time that information would trickle down to like Dave or anybody else, like, that deal would already be pretty far and set if it were going to be going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just I've never met this Marnie character myself, but all I've heard is that she's as stoic as they come, completely professional, 100% transactional human being.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I've heard she's very smart.
Yeah, I've heard very smart.
I've heard that about her for sure.
Very, very smart, sophisticated, seasoned, but 100% transactional.
That's her job.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not. Listen, none of them are here to build relationships and get to know you and have a relationship with your kid, dude. They're here to flip the car in front of your house and move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Like, she's probably like, and what we have to realize too is like, this is one of, I don't know how many Berkshire has in the portfolio, but like 140 companies maybe. Like, think of that next layer of outlook, right? Look at like the person who's managing Marnie. What is their outlook? And how do they feel about CrossFit?
Right.
Is that just a thorn in their side? And everybody always says like, oh, they got to sell it to make more money. Guys, no, they don't. They could sell it at a loss and take that loss and utilize that as a different advantage for them somewhere else in the company. So you have to realize that like those private equities, will find a way to win, even if it's just stacking debt against the company, then bankrupting it to show as a loss on their balance sheet.
So they have many ways to skin the cat.
Many ways to do it. Yeah. And I know people on here are smarter than me and will like know that, but inevitably what I'm saying is true. Like whether we see it as simple as like, I bought it for 10, I need to sell it for 15. It's more complicated than that. They could buy it for 10 and they could sell it or they could get rid of it as a loss for 20. And that gives them an advantage somewhere else.
Patrick Clark, hot take. It's sold. The release is a PR move to gauge the feel of the affiliate owners and community, so they can formulate a PR plan to approach it. Probably a more clearer way, more distilled way of what I was saying. Probably a better way.
Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, that's good. I agree with that.
I have not checked because I was too busy getting my swerve on. I have not checked to see if all 3 of the releases are identical. Am I breaking up pretty bad?
You're like just a blurry, but your voice is coming through and you're not frozen. No, now you froze.
Okay. So let me tell you. This is what Mike Halpin posted immediately after I heard about the sale. In 2020, Berkshire Partners acquired CrossFit, motivated by a strong belief in our methodology. That sounds like bullshit. Brand and our community. I don't know why they bought it, but I don't know. That sounds like bullshit. Time to seek out a new owner for our next phase of growth. So right there, this is just bullshit, right? Like who is we? It is now time to seek out a new owner for our next phase of growth. We don't know who's making that decision. We don't know why they're making it. They're claiming it's for growth.
Yeah, what's growth?
This is horseshit, right?
Yeah.
Don't they know that someone's going to smell the horseshit? The horseshit here? Okay.
Yeah.
It's weird how unsophisticated they think the affiliates are. Assuming this is talking because it says to our CrossFit affiliates.
Right. Do you want me to share
our
it?
objective is basically sure. Our objective is to find the right partner, one with a connection to our community. I don't think they care about that. Do you think they care about that?
No. I don't think they know how to connect to the community. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. They just don't know how to do it.
An appreciation for our affiliate business model. I don't know what that means, an appreciation for it, how to monetize it, and a passion and vision to lead us into the future. Maybe that last one's true. No one, maybe they're going to buy it thinking that the person who buys it now thinks that they can do better than with where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As typical in any sales process, CrossFit will be working with an advisor, Moelis & Company. Now, there is someone over there at this Moelis & Company who was very, very intimate with CrossFit. And maybe I'll go ahead and give this person a call and find out what they know.
Weird. It sounds
way
like, yeah.
back in the day.
So this what was it? How'd you pronounce it? Is it Moelis?
Yeah, Moelis & Company.
Yeah, it looks like they just might be like brokeraging the deal. Moelis & Company is a global investment bank that provides financial advisory services to corporations, governments, and financial sponsors. The firm advises on strategic decisions such as mergers and acquisitions. Yeah, recapitalizations, restructures, and other corporate finance matters.
I don't know if it was this company that was around, but there's people who are senior level at that company who definitely were around like during the Anthos issue when Greg and Lauren were fighting over the company. As is typical in any sales process, CrossFit will be working with an advisor, Moelis & Company, to help review a wide range of potential buyers. So that's where they're saying that they're taking bids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. These processes take time and won't be able to share any details until its completion. And that's in complete contradiction to acting like they care and it's our decision. When it's not our decision, it's Berkshire flipping it to try to get cash. In the meantime, there will be no changes to how we operate and work together. I don't even know if I believe that. And by the way, I don't say this with any negativity that they're selling it. It's just, I do say it with a little bit of like, hey, you guys are fucking assholes for just still not being honest. Like, just be honest. No one cares. Everyone's going to hang out. Why are you lying? Why not just come out and say, like, Yo, motherfuckers, we're taking bids. We're going to fucking flip this motherfucker. Good luck with the new owners.
I hate you guys.
Yeah, it was tough, man. You guys are fucking crazy. We thought we were going to be selling M&Ms. This motherfucking CrossFit shit's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think this is their attempt at that. I don't think they know, you know what I mean? That's like being like, "Hey, you're in Hammer, like, why don't you try screwing something in every now and then?" They're like, "Oh, I did. Didn't you see me hammer that in?" It's like, I just don't think they have the capability to connect with this community, at least not from like a top-down PR level.
Right. No, zero comprehension.
Yeah, and on top of that too, like, that's not the way these things operate, like, and I get that we're on the forefront of, like, really pushing past this corporate structure bullshit and just being sick of, like, dealing with stuff like this, right? But, like, 99% of the world is not, and when we go back to the further discussion of how Berkshire is gonna operate and how that trickles down, like, they're operating how they will, you know what I mean? They don't there's a disconnect between that and the CrossFit community for sure.
This moment of transition comes with significant opportunity. I am personally going to be very involved in the process, and I'm very excited by the potential this holds for the future of our affiliate business and CrossFit overall. So that's Don saying this. Do you think Don's going to be part of the Go Forward team?
No, Dawn will be there to make sure, like, as it trades hands, like, who knows how those deals usually go. Typically, like, when you have a CEO stick around, it's a founder CEO. So then, like, we would buy the company and be like, hey, just so internally things don't go to shit, like, you're on with us for 2 years, we'll pay you a salary. Then after that, you get your exit package, right? Dawn's not, I don't think that's the case with Dawn because he got brought in as like one of like 6 CEOs they had over that time of ownership. So I don't think it'll be the same way. I think when they do come out and finally like announce it, like I think what we'll have is we'll have this mixed messaging where like CrossFit will introduce them. They'll bring out all the stops. Like we'll probably have Dave do some introduction with them or something like that, whoever that new owner is, to try to associate them with people that the community like and trust. And then they'll bring them out and they'll talk about it. And hopefully whoever that buyer is really understands the landscape. So when they come out and they make that first impression, they do it in a way that allows that trust to start to rebuild.
Hey, I never even thought about that. What you said about the introduction of them. That means it's going to have to be Dave because no one over there.
It was Dave every
anyone else.
time. It was Dave when it was Dawn.
And no one over there is trusted. It just
No
is the way
one.
it is. And
Yeah.
so this is also a lie. The moment of transition comes with significant opportunity. I'm personally going to be very involved in this process. What he means to say is I'm going to be as involved as Marnie lets me to be.
As much as I have to be, yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Or as much as they let me, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dawn might not even be in those meetings when that deal closes, by the way. And that's not like a dig at Dawn. That's just like that's how it might be. It might just be managing partners, those people that are at the financial institution that are helping with the deal, and the people at Berkshire. Like that's all, and the new buyers. He might not even be in that room.
We will be hosting an affiliate town hall tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm glad I can make that.
Do you have the email for it?
I did, thanks to, well, I don't, whatever. I guess it doesn't matter if they're published out, but yes, I got the email. I don't get them, and I checked it like multiple times to be like, okay, it must be something on my end. But I go to the affiliate toolkit. I've been like submitting my scores. I've been pretty on it about trying to figure out why I don't get those emails, but I don't know.
So what's interesting is this letter that you pulled up that's on the CrossFit.com site is even different. The first paragraph is the same with the reviewing the wide range of potential buyers. But then it goes on, and I don't remember reading this in the letter that went to affiliates. It says, for over 20 years, CrossFit has provided a simple and direct path to health and fitness unparalleled to its efficacy for everyone from Olympic level athletes to grandparents. This legacy based on delivering measurable results reshaped the mainstream fitness landscape. Today, we continue to lead the industry with our vision and commitment to make the world healthier. We have a global network of frontline practitioners, over 11,000 business owners, and over 100,000 CrossFit credentialed coaches. The 1,500 plus healthcare providers align with our mission and methodology. We have inspired countless local and global organizations that promote higher order and social benefits, including addiction recovery, youth development, and veteran support. Wow, whoever wrote this fucking lost the plot right there. They got unraveled. You fucked up. And then you started the sentence with and we've transformed our workouts into global competitive sport that draws hundreds of thousands of participants every year. We owe our success to the incredible support and dedication of our community. We are excited about CrossFit's future and opportunity. Yeah, this just reeks of someone who has no fucking idea what CrossFit is. I wonder who wrote this.
It's like they tried to explain it to us as they told us what was happening. That's the disconnect, right? Like, what affiliate owner whether they've been an affiliate owner for a year, whether they've been an affiliate owner for 10 years, needs to hear the middle line of, for 20 years, CrossFit has provided a simple, like, you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah, we provided it. We're doing it. We did it before you got here. We'll do it after you're gone.
Jenny, CrossFit will never die. Yeah, that's true.
The email to the affiliates was slightly different though. I thought it was almost the same because it started the same.
Yeah, these are different. Yeah. Just the first paragraph is the same.
Okay. Do you want me to read the one from the affiliate?
That's the one I read. That's what Mike Halpin posted.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't
Okay.
rehearse.
No, I know. That's why I got lost when I was looking at the one what you were saying. I was like, man, this isn't on here. But yeah, that's where he says at the bottom, assuming that this is writing it from Dawn. Where he said, I'm personally going to be very involved in this process, and I'm excited about the potential this holds for the future of the affiliate business in CrossFit overall. And so, like, him saying he's going to personally be involved, that to me says that, like, he's probably just going to be forward facing as far as trying to, like, mitigate all this PR stuff as much as possible. And, like, I think that's what they mean by the, like, involvement of it.
Molus, very connected. They helped Assault Fitness, Assault Bike sell. Okay, CrossFit Level 2 also helps sell Barry's Bootcamp. Yeah, and there's a guy over there, at least one that I remember seeing around from the early days of CrossFit.
Mm.
And so it's someone who's very intimate with the organization.
Yeah, and then Barbell, Brian Spin corrected me on something, and he's correct. He said, like, this statement was for public outside media when I was saying that the clear disconnect is like that for that 20 years CrossFit has provided. So that's where the conflation, what I had. I thought this was the same thing that went out to the affiliates. I didn't realize there was a nuance between the two. So I just want to correct the record.
So we have two things going on here. It appears there have a solicitation for more buyers, like there's some sort of bid auction, but then there's also what Patrick Clark said so well, that this is just and you said it's just a soft launch to see how the community is going to react and then manage the community before they drop the bomb on them. It's like telling your parents, bringing a girl home and not telling your parents you're getting married or that you already are married.
Exactly. No, that you're already pregnant. You just leave that part out. You just say we're getting married.
Right.
Wow, so quickly. Yeah. Oh, and we're pregnant. We're going to have it right around the same time as we get married.
Let's say someone like Assault Fitness was acquired by like just some fucking whack company that owns every bullshit new fad in the, you know what I mean? Like you go to Newport Beach and they have like 5 gyms all next to each other, like Nike Fit and Conor McGregor Fit, and you know what I mean? It's just it's like if someone owned McDonald's, Arby's, and Wendy's. It's just a or like how Pepsi owns like, Pizza Hut, Pepsi's, and Doritos. They just sell poison. What if a buyer does get it like that? What if we find out that the person who's buying it owns Curves, F45, and CrossFit, and it's just another? You think that the community will tolerate that, withstand that?
I don't think we'll have a choice.
And then what about this? These rumors we're hearing that there are phone calls now going on that WFP is affiliates for sale for $2,000 a year. I'm hearing that WFP is offering you can become a WFP affiliate for $2,000. You think that people? What's that? Chris Cooper made a comment.
This is his whole comment.
Oh shit!
They'll save CrossFit. It starts with the affiliates.
Wow. Hold that thought with the WFP. Send me a link to that. Or maybe I can find it. Never mind. I got a link.
It's just on the link. Yeah, you just scroll down. Somebody, shout out Clay. Thanks for your $1.99 to get that attention too. He just said scroll down and read Chris Cooper's comment. When I did, I was like, holy shit.
So for anyone who doesn't know who Chris Cooper is, he runs the largest gym consulting company in the world called Two Brain Business. He's probably one of the coolest longtime OG people in the space. Extremely knowledgeable. He's helped thousands and thousands of businesses. I think his rate for people who sign up for the Two Brain Business program, it's like a 90% profit. 90% of the affiliates who sign up for it have a profit increase. I'm trying to look for that link. Did I send that link?
Yeah. Do you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, or send it to me in the private chat.
Yeah.
I just can't see it on there. It's too small.
There you go. In the private chat.
Is this a copy and paste? Is this something he wrote new for this post?
No, it looks like it might have been. I don't know if he wrote this new. Let me scroll.
Or is this something that he wrote a long time ago and someone, is this actually Chris Cooper's post, or did someone copy something Chris Cooper wrote and put it in here?
I think, well, let's find out. I guess we could read it, huh? There's a lot to this right now.
I should be able to tell just by looking at the first line. Oh, it's from Chris Cooper.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got notes here from 24 and 25, so he had to have written it somewhat soon. How to save CrossFit, the path forward for affiliates at HQ. The problem, CrossFit is shrinking.
Wow.
CrossFit Inc. has 4 products. CrossFit, the methodology, free since the beginning with daily workouts and articles on CrossFit.com. Number 2, the CrossFit coach certifications arguably is still the best in the world for producing hands-on coaching knowledge, without a doubt, unless they fuck that up.
Let me read this last paragraph. Sorry to interrupt. The last paragraph of this really long post. But now that Greg has been paid, the company needs direction and leadership. That means the company needs real change to grow. I'll leave to others to comment on the programming or the games or the certification courses and stick to what I know. After 14 years of affiliation and publishing stuff for other affiliates every single day for the last 13 years, it all starts with the affiliates. Give them help from real experts with real data instead of regurgitating the old myths louder and faster. The affiliates aren't the fruit of the CrossFit tree. They're the roots. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Make the affiliates stronger and then get out of the way. They'll save CrossFit.
Damn, that's fucking it. That's it. That's it. It's the second.
I almost feel guilty, like, because the media, we spend so much time like playing with the fruit, that HQ gets confused and thinks that there's actually something there at the fruit.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was a major imbalance, I would say. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where like it's fine, and then it just tips a little bit this way, and then you're like, oh wow, it's kind of sliding. But the interesting thing here is like, here's going to be the hard part, right? Giving them the help from real experts with real data instead of regurgitating old myths louder and faster. That's the hardest part for them to do. That's why HQ cannot provide anything for affiliates. It's because they don't understand the constraints or the struggles that our affiliates are dealing with. And then also, HQ is not going to solve those problems for the affiliates, nor should they. But they could put a ton of resources at their feet for those affiliates to solve those problems themselves in their local communities. And that's going to be a hard part for whoever buys this to figure out, unless they call us.
What do you think about the timing of this announcement? It's on the day before 25.3. It's the day that the WFP is going around asking people to become affiliates. What do you think about the timing of this?
I think the whole thing just is, it's odd to me. Is it not odd to you? It's odd to me. Like, why would they do it now in the middle of the season? Why would they say that they're taking bids? Like, the whole thing just seems weird.
Is there ever a good time to do it? Let me play devil's advocate here. It's like my wife told me one time she was pregnant and it was April Fool's joke, and I said, "I think now is a good time to tell me." And I was like, "Oh, that probably wasn't the right response." Like, is there ever a good time?
I mean, there's not ever going to be a good time, but there's a difference of like how you approach that message, right? Like, so go to the baby analogy again. Like, would it be more appropriate if Haley bought baby clothes in a crib and just moved them into the house and then was like, I don't know, we're thinking about it, right? We're trying. So, and then all of a sudden you're like, the next day she's all, oh yeah, I've been pregnant or something, right? Like it just seems weird the way that it's coming out.
Who the fuck is going to affiliate with WFP? There'll be some retard. You could say that the mood is the highest it's been in 12 months today.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's good then to announce it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like you said, there's never really a good time, a good time, right? So you're going to position it the best you can and let it go. The weird part to me is the announcement of like we have bidders and we're gonna sell it. Like, doesn't that just seem odd? I don't know. I mean, I know there's probably people that know a ton more about like acquisitions or how these things work than I do, but typically, like, you don't.
It's not how it went last time.
It's just like you don't present it like that.
Yeah. It's like an auction house. It feels like an
Yeah.
auction house.
Yeah, they're like, it's like they threw it out there and they're like, by the way, we're gonna sell it. If anybody else wants in, you better do it now. In a couple weeks, we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Hey,
And
and
you're
they're
like,
gonna
what?
and they're gonna start getting a lot of calls. A lot of people are gonna call Berkshire and be like, "Hey, I have 5 million or 25 million, or I have 18 of my friends, and we can pull together 102 million." And
Yeah.
and I don't know how they're gonna have the. I wonder if there's gonna be a lot of. How are they gonna deal with all of that? Because that means they have to vet all of those people. I mean, maybe this Marnie chicks is that good that she can vet who's serious, who can give the 200 million plus or whatever they're asking for it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So have you ever thing in accounting? It's called like goodwill. And so basically it's like if you were gonna sell this podcast, they could look at some numbers and everything else, and then you'd be like, hey, but one thing that you can't like measure on here is how like awesome our audience is, how loyal they are, how, blah, 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 how engaging they are, all this other stuff, right? Like, there's no way we could actually like value that. So typically it's called goodwill. And I wonder if they were like, hey, you guys are over here at like 100 million for goodwill. We think you're down here at 20. And they're like, okay, well, how do we value this? Like, fuck it. Let's just say we're going to sell it and see what happens. And then it shakes out. And then you could be like, okay, so here's kind of what we could really count on, because now that they know that a sell is coming, like this was the perception. So now we could land here potentially on the unquantifiable metric of like goodwill or brand or something like that. So it could be that. That might be I'm going to tore up
No,
and Reddit
no,
again for that
no,
take.
no,
But
no. It's a good take. It's a good take.
he reads one book and because that goes back to what you were saying earlier. Like people disparage it to lower that brand value.
Let me throw this out there. Let me throw this curveball here. So the games happen, and Lazar Jukic dies, and Luka sues CrossFit.
For sure.
Just speculating.
Yeah, allegedly.
You're a buyer of CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy CrossFit. Does that case have to be wrapped up?
Fuck yeah, if I'm putting my name on that, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why would you really? You think that case is so big? Like, how would like the Ford always has probably a lawsuit against them?
Yes, but not like this. And this is much different because like it would be like if Ford had a lawsuit with something much more massive, right? With like Honda. Like you're like, oh, I'm not getting wrapped up in that. And so if there's some unsettled like pending lawsuit, then I think two things happened. Either they settled that to get that out of the way, just to have that go away before they do the sell, or I wonder if they Sarah's take is right. That kind of lost my train of thought because that's an interesting take, and I think she's probably correct in that. But
I can get you back on track. We were talking about the Luka case. What's the significance?
Oh,
of the
yeah. So I think there's two things. Either it's like closed up, like they settled and they paid him off, or that's baked into the deal. And they're like, okay, if this lawsuit like whatever, you guys still have to pay. Like Berkshire still has to pay this, but we'll go. And then to piggyback off of Sarah's comment, the reason why I like went to that direction, I was like, oh, that's actually a really good call, because if they do sell it and that deal does happen in Albany, they could come out and be like, oh, and by the way, guys, like here's the new owners, which would be an interesting play because it's the same thing they did with Dawn.
Yeah. Another thing that they could do is they could say, we're going to sell the company for $20, but you're going to have to put $10 in escrow, depending on how the Luka case plays out.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just think no one's buying that thing with the pending lawsuit like that. I think he got paid.
They want the new owners at the games. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what happened to Don, right? Basically, they sold when they switched CEOs. They didn't sell the company, but when they switched CEOs, bam! Don's first day at the job was at the games. Sarah Cox, old claims are always carved out. What does that mean?
So, like I was saying, like going back to your thing, if you're suing me and I think I might owe you $10 and somebody comes to buy what I have, we're gonna be like, hey, by the way, like Sevon, there's a pending lawsuit here. He's going after me for $10, and then I would come back and say, okay, well, $10 off the price because I'm not paying for your lawsuit. Like I'm not buying a lawsuit, right?
Okay.
So that would be carved out of the deal to where whatever the deal is with CrossFit that owes is like they still pay that, and like whoever's buying it definitely foot the bill for the lawsuit.
When when Greg had the NSCA case, they wanted to settle.
Yeah, for sure.
And they wanted to settle for a lot. Like they were going to give fucking whatever. I'm making this up, but $50 million and all their assets, their headquarters, all that shit.
Yeah.
And Greg's like, nah, I'm not interested. And the judge is like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to get everything they have. And he's like, yeah, but I want more information. I view the NSCA as cancer, and I want to carve cancer out. I want to carve the cancer out of the beast and never have it come back. So let's keep doing discovery and get more and more information. Let's see if who's involved. Budweiser, ESPN. So
Right.
let's see who motherfuckers are involved.
It's the Epstein files of the fitness world.
Yeah. And he didn't, and you know, I don't want to say, I was going to say he didn't need the money, but everyone would love a quick 50 million in cash. I mean, that's a shitload of money, right?
I'd take it for sure.
But he didn't take it.
Right.
But he didn't take it. And then Rosa comes along and lickety split, they close the case.
They got some of that initial money they put down back.
Okay. Let me propose this to you. So we have this file, we have this investigation that wasn't released regarding Lazar Jukic's death.
Okay.
And you have someone like Luca possibly sue CrossFit, right? Speculating.
Yep.
And say, hey, we want money. And CrossFit's like, sure, no problem. But you're never allowed to talk about CrossFit again, and we seal the case.
Yeah, typically that makes sense.
Do you think if that's what that sounds like a totally normal offer? Like I'm willing to bet inch off my cock for that.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
You got more to spare than I do.
Thank you. If that's true, then that would be sealed up forever. And what's interesting about that is then the entire premise that, you know how like there's these 20 people on Reddit who just fucking hate on CrossFit nonstop. They're you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The mentally ill crew. They would say that, hey, CrossFit was never being transparent. But the reason why maybe that they're not transparent is because maybe it fell into Luca's hands or Luca's parents or whoever did the case. Because if he accepted the money and that shit got signed away forever, which I don't blame him for taking the money, but it's not what Greg would have done. Mm-hmm. Greg didn't want the money. He wanted the truth out.
Yeah.
So now all these people are like, fuck CrossFit HQ, just wants the money. They're corporate greedy scumbags. And at the end of the day, it could have got released. Luca could have taken this thing to court, fought it out, and everything would have been released. Matter of fact, now that I talked this out, that is what would have happened. If he would have taken them to court and won, he could have released anything.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere, if something doesn't come out at the end of the day, it's going to be because Luca buried it and took the cash. Which I'm not blaming him for, but it makes everyone else's argument who hates CrossFit for not being transparent, or all the athletes who said CrossFit's just corporate and greedy, or any lessons that we could have learned, fucking moot.
Yep.
Because Luca was in control.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, he's going to take the money over continuing lawsuits. Allegedly. I don't blame him at all. I'd take the money.
But it's just interesting because as we get closer to the sale, all of those arguments are going to go out the door, unless these fucking idiots are willing to talk shit about Luca.
No, that'll never happen. B, people weren't really looking for transparency because at the end of the day, they just wanted Dave fired. And that's really what it came down to. And they felt that Dave rubbed them the wrong way or they mistreated him. And let's just talk about it completely openly. They don't want transparency in the case. Let's be frank. Majority of them don't probably know about the nuances or care about the nuances. I don't mean that negatively. They're not. It is what it is. They just want to see Dave fired. They think that there needs to be a person held responsible and Dave's head's on the stake and the athletes have decided to make him the bad guy for whatever reason. They have their reasons, I'm sure. And that's the only thing they are all after. 100%.
What a show. WFP soliciting CrossFit affiliates to join them. CrossFit selling. We're not sure if it's the deal's done and it's a PR campaign or if it's an auction. They're putting it out to auction.
Yeah, so weird.
And there has clearly, I would speculate, something has happened with the Lazar Jukic case. and is drowning, if there ever was one.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the deal too, like at the end of the day, um, what information would have come out that would have changed anything?
You mean around the Lazar Jukic
Yeah,
case?
just other than the fact that they could have fully then been like, see, it was Dave. Now we have the evidence to remove him. Outside of that, was there anything we were looking for in that case that CrossFit hasn't already addressed and wouldn't have already addressed due to the tragedy that would have an outcome outside of Dave just being fired?
The investigators, I'm sure, questioned a lot of people, right? So what if God, I don't want to say this because I don't want to deal with the fucking wrath anymore. But here it goes anyway. We don't know anything about what Lazarus prep for this other than he did the swim ahead of time. We don't know about his like if there would have been discovery, we could have found out if he had any medical records. Was he taking any sort of asthma medications, Sudafeds, fucking aspirin? Like we don't know anything. We don't know anything because we'll never see the fucking discovery.
Yeah.
And then what if there's some conclusive evidence that it actually, like, hey, there actually were no lifeguards in the water. Those were all fucking Instagram influencers just taking media. We'll never know that either.
Right.
And what if we don't know the discovery that Dave had been high on coke the whole night before with the fucking medical team? Like we'll never know any, like none, we're not going to know any of that.
Yes, but we would, because in those exact examples, that would be negligence. I think it would change the case quite a bit. So if there was any really big glaring hole like that, I think you would have known that by the outcome of
Not if
like,
Luca took the payoff. Not if Luca took the payoff. And the
I
investigation
mean,
buried.
no, I mean like that would be like a public like police like in it like investigation, not a civil lawsuit case.
Maybe or maybe not. You know, the day after Lazar died, a police officer was killed on the freeway in Fort Worth. A drunk he was on an off ramp and a drunk driver came up the wrong direction and hit him and killed him.
Yeah.
And at that point, I heard that they took all their resources from the Lazar Jukic case and they're like, hey, we got to put him over here. This is a fucking accidental death, and they let it roll.
Oh no shit. Wow.
And you can I think I read that in public record. I think I read that on in the newspaper. Anyway,
interesting.
It's a lot, and it's all tied together in this way. Does the WFP smell blood in the water because there's going to be a sale and they want to grab affiliates? I don't really fucking know what they have to offer. What happened with Lazar and Luca, and was the crowd duped and they never were going to get the truth, and it never had to do with fucking the safety of the athletes because we'll never get any clarity on it, and all those guys got fucking played like pawns? Maybe. Is it this Saudi guy that's buying it? Is it a JP Morgan? Is it someone stateside? Like what is going on? It's a lot. It's fun. I'm gonna tell you, it's a fucking blast. Let me ask you this: do you think the sale does? Let's piggyback off of what Sarah Cox says. Do you think it sells before the games?
Yeah, I do now for sure. For sure. Like when I did that prediction show in January, I had said that it would sell, and I was like, it'll most likely happen before the games. And then as we caught stronger rumors of what was going on, and then I did that show like 2 weeks later, now we're seeing this bid thing come out. So yeah, I think it's going to fall right in kind of like what I thought it would. Just because like there's certain things that line up that just kind of strategically make sense, right? Like there's certain windows where you're like, you kind of have to do it in this if you're going to do this. And the interesting thing, the wrench in it too, and it won't get enough tension because nobody else will touch the subject. But the Luca thing is very interesting in terms of like the outcomes that were wanted with like transparency and information and the full layout of what happened. I mean, we had people given like day by day breakdown or hour by hour breakdown and all that shit. All that will,
you mean like that Halpin thing he did?
Yeah, whatever. And so yeah, the fucking whatever, the day by day slider. And so that stuff is all like super important until this whole thing got squashed, and then it's going to go away, and then they won't ever bring that up anymore. Like the transparency and all that shit, that will all go out the window. And it is an interesting take, because if that were true, obviously we're speculating here, like if there were a lawsuit and there was a settlement and then CrossFit pushed to settle that quicker, knowing that there was a sale coming up and they needed that done, and Luca took the money and that case is closed, like you will never, ever hear anything about it again. And to be honest, it's kind of gotten quiet.
Yeah, and has he said anything negative about the Open?
No, I
And
don't
he
think he
doesn't.
said anything disparaging about CrossFit at all. If that's what you're kind of hinting, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he had to sign the letter, shut the fuck up. You know, if they gave him $5 million, told him to shut the fuck up, he's shutting the fuck up.
Yep.
And then and then basically what he did, and once again, I don't blame him. I do this same fucking thing. But he betrayed everyone who said, "Hey, let's get change. Let's find out what happened. Let's care about moving forward and the safety." And that's all out the fucking door. He traded it for $5 million, like the Beast games, whatever that guy's games are on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fat. And all those guys got duped. The Fikowskis and the Brentsicles and the Dannies and the Ariel Lowens. They just got duped as fuck.
Mm-hmm. And
They had their fucking buttholes.
One thing I would like to make a statement. There's I was gonna tell you this after we finish the show, but you should definitely watch it afterwards. PBD Patrick Bet David interviewed the dude who started Ben and Jerry's ice cream, who's like this socialist, right? Hardcore socialist. And the show
and child genital mutilator, like some people in the CrossFit space.
The show is just a masterclass on just unfucking somebody from that belief of socialism, especially when you're sitting there talking to this guy who's started Ben and Jerry's, right?
Yeah.
But it was very interesting how his take of, oh well, nobody needs to be that rich, and then Patrick Bet David was like, well then give up all your money, and he's like, oh well, we're working on it. He's like, yeah, but I'm rich, like I know how this goes. Give it up right now. And he's like, well, why don't you? And he's like, right. And
where
like,
would the money go? Just out of curiosity, where does the money go? Like, so let's say Elon gives all his money away. Where would it go?
Well,
I sure as fuck don't want the government to get it, because I know what they do with it. They put people on the dole, and those people become fat and lazy. And what do you do with the money?
So that's the funny part, right? Is like, what do you do with the money? And like,
those are rich people. They know how to spend money in order to create more wealth, and we all benefit when people who spend money create more wealth.
Right.
So if you gave Elon $20 billion, he's going to invent something that's going to create $600 billion worth of jobs.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to take money away from someone who's rich? What's the problem with Mark Zuckerberg having a 400-foot yacht, or a $278 million yacht that employs 1,000 people, and the innovations in the next 5 years will trickle down to all the smaller boats in the world?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're on eye to eye there. But the interesting thing was just, how could you live your life one way, and then when you're really pushed to make a decision based off the things that you're saying you believe in and uphold, then all of a sudden it gets a little shaky, right? Yeah, it's the same thing with the politicians that you see, where they're like, all these immigrants need to come in. They're like, cool, we're gonna go take them to your neighborhoods, and they're like, whoa, not like my neighborhood. Like, come on, let's not get crazy. Like, and there was a theme that was interesting that I hear a lot from the athletes, and I heard on that show that just kind of sparked something in my mind, which was Patrick and David kept talking about. The guy was like, well, there's a lot of people that work really hard that are also poor. And Patrick Davis goes, yeah, and so are you, right? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, so what's the difference between you and them? And he was like, what? And he can't, and he couldn't. He's like trying to like wrestle with it, but he couldn't like come up with the answer. And the reason why I thought I bring that up is because he thought he was doing the right thing for people because they were nice, good people. Period. They don't produce good work. And I think the conversation gets so conflated when we have opinions on subjects that happen, and then people take that as, you are disparaging this person personally. Right? So like when we talk about like the Marnie or what's happening with like this Luca, like people are like, oh my God, look how evil they are. They hate those individuals. And it's like, no, we could be very compassionate, believe that they're great people, have great independent relationships with them, and still have independent opinions about what they're doing in a professional setting or in their world or with the workplace. And those could be two separate things. And I think the athletes have a really hard time doing that. They want to be liked. They want to be the nice person. They want to do the right thing. And a lot of times that just, it gets conflated with like, yeah, but I don't know why I said that. I don't really believe it, but I just want to do the right thing.
I want to say something just really quick about that hard work thing. A lot of people think they work hard and they don't work hard. If I told you to do 100 burpees every single day, and you would get a certain kind of fitness, and if you only did 90 burpees as fast as you could every day instead of 100, you would get a significantly less amount of fitness than if you got 100. And why is that? Because those last 10 are so fucking valuable.
Yeah.
Those last 10 are where you're cultivating that fucking fitness. So these people who are working 40, 50 hours a week, you're not working hard. You're not, if at every moment of your life you're not willing to put down what you're doing and get back to your passion and do your whatever your work is, they say your work is, if you're not ready to do that in the middle of your mom's funeral, in the middle of your kid's birthday party, while your wife's having a baby, then there's fucking 100 million people out there who will work harder than you. Trust me. There's you. I don't know. The only rich people that I know who don't work hard are spouses. Every single person I know who's fucking wealthy is fucking like miserably working hard.
Yeah.
And even when they get wealthy, they're still fucking working miserably hard.
Yeah.
And the people that I know who are poor, the vast majority of them aren't working hard. And what does not working hard mean? Working hard means that you go on vacation 2 weeks a year. Right there, you're not even in contention. If you fucking do a surf trip that's 2 weeks every single year, you're not even in contention for working hard. Like, sorry, like you're not. I'm not making the rules. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you're just not.
Yeah. And I would also just like to add to that too, that working hard, you also have to work smart. So like nobody works harder than the poor kids in China that made our iPhones. They ain't getting rich. They also ain't doing holidays or vacations. They still ain't getting rich, right? And that might be a bad example just because of the situation they live in. But the point being is like you could show up as a business owner and relive the same year 100 years in a row.
But you know who is getting rich? I'm just completely making this up. There's one kid in the fucking group who's making those iPhones, and he's not doing it mindlessly, feeling sorry for himself. Every day he's learning something. And every day when he walks home, he picks up a little piece of trash, or he's doing something, or he's trying to also go the extra mile and impress the guy he works with and get the promotions. There's always a place not to be the victim and lift yourself up. Always.
Yeah. And that's where I was kind of going with that, because if you're, so like, let's say you show up and I'm working for you and I want a raise, right? Like, I'm not going to show up and say, hey, Savon, you're paying me $1. Now I want $2. Well, what are you going to do for that $2? Well, I'm going to do the same thing. I just feel like I've showed up. I've been on time. I've been here every single day. It's like, well, okay. Now, if I show up and I go, hey, Savon, I spent the last 2 nights like just looking over some of these numbers, and I found a couple really good opportunities for us. I see there's some constraints in the business here, and this is a couple of things that I looked up that I think would solve this problem. Now, are you willing to kind of like explore some of these options? Because I think if we alleviate this one constraint, this will help unlock these things that we've been trying to do. By the way, are you open to the fact of now that I just brought some more value, can I build myself into this price structure here because I want to be with you long term, and I still think I can find more and more opportunities for growth within this business?
Fuck you, get out of here, Snake.
Well, you get my $2, right? Like, so that's just, it's very different. Like, you find the guy, the person who's making minimum wage that's complaining that the government needs to step in to give them a higher wage is not the same individual that sits in their car and puts on a fucking audiobook and learns about business for the next 6 years and does not listen to the radio and does not watch any fucking TV. And they spend all their time listening to an audiobook, reading a book, watching things online that are going to move them closer to where they want to be in life. If you think that you are just going to show up and that's good enough ever, you're the fucking minimum wage complainer victim mentality.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to sum it up. When it does sell, what do? They clear out everyone. You really brought up a good point. I think the way to mitigate affiliate losses, they're going to have to somehow integrate Dave and make it seem like Dave's friends with the affiliates. I can't think of anyone else who's there now who could do that. Who's high profile like that. If they don't keep Dave, they got to give him a fucking crazy severance package, I guess, so he doesn't start his own thing and peel off 2,000 affiliates the first day he leaves. But what about everyone else? I mean, I assume they got to keep the general counsel. He's fucking been there forever and knows fucking everything.
Yeah, it'll sorry, I'm getting distracted by Brianna and Pat's arguments here. I want to argue with the socialist a little bit, but
no, don't even bother, because
okay.
He's Pat. We only talk to people who clear $1 million a year. Go on.
I would gladly do that, because he started with, that's not an intelligent dude. Dude, I am far from an intelligent dude, and I did it. But so here's what I think what'll happen is, depending on who buys it, depending on the buyer, if it's the people who I think it is that I talked about in the show, I think they'll keep a lot of people on for a long time. And I think we might see them even bring in more people that have been around for a long time, that are names that we know, to kind of have a say in what's going on. I don't know if that'll last long term, because typically the way private equity works, as you experience this, is they come in, they're like, we're not going to make any big changes. And everybody kind of goes, but nobody really knows what's going on. And then slowly you're like, oh, fuck, that dude just got whacked. And you're like,
Yes,
oh, shit,
yes,
dude. Like,
yes,
so wait, what am I supposed to be working on? Like, I just need to do something. And they're like, oh, don't worry. We're in a
yes.
phase right now. And then the other dude gets whacked. You're like, fuck, that dude just got whacked. And like, you're just waiting for your turn.
Yeah.
So there could be a bit of that. And it's weird being involved with Hormel Meats when they purchased Columbus Foods.
Yeah.
Sometimes that takes a long time. There was a lot of people that are like, I'm secure in my job. I've been here 25 plus years. All these people went. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, I'm like, hey, where's Nazi? And where's that other chick from the county? They're like, oh, they laid that whole department off. And I was like, oh. And that was like 6 months after everybody else already got whacked. They thought they were safe. So yeah, I think that's what we'll see. I think we'll see not a lot of changes in personnel at first. We might even see some familiar faces get brought on in larger roles. And then over that next year, as we kind of learn more about the new owners' plans or more long-term plans, they'll either stay or we'll start to see that whole group just get whacked out and they'll bring in all their people.
Do you think that the new owners will be mesmerized by the games? You think it's another gamesista like Rosa and confused what the business model is? Or do you think like this person will take reach out to Chris Cooper and be like, okay, tell me, my friend?
I mean, I hope they do. That would be one of my very first phone calls. If I were to put together a little board of advisors, I would for sure have called him first. I think that the next entity that buys it won't make the same mistake Berkshire did. And I think Berkshire made that mistake.
Wow.
And I think now the P&L shows exactly where the money comes in and where the money comes out and where the biggest opportunity lies, especially if you know this community.
Okay. Tomorrow will be an affiliate call. So tomorrow's going to be quite the day. There'll be the morning show with Dallin and Kevin. Then we'll have the open show with Taylor Self. And then hopefully in the evening, you and I can get back on and talk about what you learned. You think you're going to learn? Unfortunately, I think you're not going to learn anything tomorrow.
I hope I get a chance to ask questions.
What are you going to ask?
I would just ask, like, that's a good thing. I would have to position the question to something that he could actually answer, right? So I'd have to be really smart about what I wanted to learn, because I can't be like, hey, give us a timeline here. One of the questions that you could ask that's kind of just like a bitch move too is be like, hey, what gives you confidence in these potential new bidders, or what are you looking for in new bidders that are going to make it more successful than what you guys did? Name 3 things. Name 2 things. Name 1 thing, right? Like what is it? What's the opportunity that these new buyers see that you guys either can't accomplish or don't see? That's a fair question.
I mean, here's
not
the deal.
one he could answer, but
here's the deal. Unless the buyer is Dave Castro, there's so much there's so much I know they don't know.
Yeah.
Unless the buyer is Greg Glassman, there's so, like, even if you've worked at, unless the buyer is Chuck Carswell, I mean, man, dude, there's less than 5 people who know even like 50% of what's going on. Like, Don does no fucking idea what's going on relative to, like, just in terms of what CrossFit actually is and understanding the business model. Because Don had to fucking came from Harvard. He probably had to unlearn all the shit that he already knew. He's trying to fucking fly an airplane. This thing's a boat. So it is going to be really interesting. What inspired that is what Harvest CrossFit said. It said anyone who buys it thinks that are going to think that they already know what the business is and they can run it better than what's being done now. Boy, you better be careful, man. This thing is a squirrely beast. It's so fucking squirrely that people don't even realize what they're getting themselves into. It's almost impossible to articulate how squirrely this thing is.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting too? I bet you
They haven't called Greg. Whoever the new buyer is hasn't called Greg, which is like, you're out of your fucking mind. You better at least call him and talk to him for 5 hours and like, so he can tell you what, at least so you can hear it. You don't have to believe him, but so he can tell you what the fuck this thing is that you're buying.
Yeah, agreed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Shit, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was gonna say I can make the argument that Berkshire probably got shafted the most out of all this whole deal. Like, could you imagine this Eric Rosa type already had like a $1 billion exit, super successful, says he knows this in and out. We could upgrade some technologies and systems and package it and resell it for double. And they're like, great. And then all of a sudden, a year into that, they're like, dude, you can't do this at all. Like, fuck,
Right.
now we're stuck with this thing, right?
Yep.
So, you know, that could have very much happened to the people of our Berkshire as they're trying to figure it out too.
No, the affiliates don't know, Frank. Sorry. Most of the affiliates don't know either. Sorry, dude.
That picture reminds me of like if he was like a hostage at some sort of Middle Eastern country right now, and like he's been missing since the 90s when he got picked up from his Marine convoy, and they're
Oh,
like trying to get him back.
he does look like he like needs to eat something. No, they don't know either, Frank. They don't know either. They'll say dumb shit like we need a Super Bowl commercial. Sorry, Andrew. All right. Okay. Thank you for coming on and doing this.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do it again tomorrow night. Guys, so many big shows tomorrow. 3 big shows tomorrow. And then Friday, another big show. Then Saturday, the best show in the internet space, Kill Taylor. We will talk to you guys all soon. Love you guys. Sousa, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.